Dijonai Carrington poking Caitlin Clark's eye during her playoff debut. This is not intentional. This is a revenge. Dijonai Carrington stood tall, glaring fiercely at the camera, her hand brushing against her eyelashes. "You thought you could mess with me, Caitlin? You thought this was just a game? Well, you messed with the wrong one. My lashes. You didn't know how much they meant to me. This isn't just about basketball anymore. This is personal. You crossed the line, and now it's revenge." In a heated moment on the court, Dijonai struck Caitlin Clark in the eye, her intensity unmistakable. "This is for the disrespect. This is for everything you did. I told you I was coming for you, Caitlin. You took something from me, and now I'm taking something back."
Right in the eye. There was no foul call. There was no real discussion of it on the ESPN broadcast. ESPN wrote a story after the game that did not mention that the biggest star in the history of the WNBA, the first woman to ever be the biggest star in American sports, was assaulted 2 minutes into the game on a dirty play with one of these women with these long fake fingernails that stabbed her in the eye.
Caitlin Clark's rookie season with the Indiana Fever has been nothing short of legendary. But the team's first playoff game was a tough reality check. Battling through a black eye after an early collision, Clark struggled offensively, shooting just 4 for 17 in a 93-69 loss to the Connecticut Sun. Despite the shooting woes, she showed her leadership with 8 assists and relentless hustle. The Fever, lacking playoff experience, couldn't match Connecticut's veteran composure, but Clark remains undeterred. As she put it, "We're not out of this yet." Now, all eyes turn to Game 2 as Indiana fights to keep their playoff dreams alive. Her selection to the all-rookie team further cemented her legacy as a rising star, demonstrating the significant impact she had on her team and the entire league. In just one season, Clark evolved from a promising draft pick into a franchise-changing player, redefining the expectations for rookies. Clark continued to demonstrate her resilience. True to her character, she refused to lean on her injury as an excuse. Instead, she accepted her shooting woes as part of the game, embodying the accountability and poise that have already made her a respected leader in the WNBA. Even on an off night, Clark found ways to impact the game. Her court vision remained sharp, as evidenced by her 8 assists, while her defensive hustle yielded 4 rebounds and 3 steals. Unfortunately, her all-around efforts weren't enough to counteract the larger challenge facing the Fever: a glaring lack of playoff experience. This moment also highlighted the physical toll of playoff basketball, where the intensity and physicality reached new levels. Yet Clark, true to her character, refused to lean on her injury as a crutch. Instead, she accepted her shooting woes as part of the game, demonstrating the accountability and poise that have already made her a respected leader in the WNBA. Her ability to brush aside personal discomfort in the pursuit of team success showcased the qualities of a player far beyond her years, further cementing her reputation as one of the league's brightest stars. Caitlin Clark found ways to impact the game in other areas. Her court vision remained sharp, as evidenced by her 8 assists, showing that even on an off night, she could still create opportunities for her teammates. Clark also grabbed 4 rebounds and recorded 3 steals, demonstrating her defensive instincts and hustle on both ends of the floor. Yet, her all-around efforts weren't enough to counteract the larger challenge facing the Indiana Fever: a lack of playoff experience. This was the Fever's first playoff appearance in several years, and their inexperience became glaringly apparent against the seasoned Connecticut Sun. Clark's shooting woes, just 4 for 17 from the field and a tough 2 for 13 from three-point range, mirrored a broader issue within the team. Indiana struggled to adjust to the heightened intensity and physicality that playoff basketball demands, and Connecticut capitalized on this weakness. The Sun, anchored by veterans who've thrived in playoff environments, applied relentless pressure, forcing the Fever into uncomfortable situations. They disrupted passing lanes, closed out on shooters with ferocity, and physically challenged Indiana on every possession. This game was a harsh introduction to the rigors of postseason basketball for a young Fever squad. While Clark's playmaking and effort were evident, it highlighted the gap between regular season success and the elevated stakes of the playoffs. Playoff basketball hit differently for the Indiana Fever on Sunday, and the Connecticut Sun made sure Caitlin Clark felt every second of it. Connecticut's head coach Stephanie White knew Clark was the engine that powered the Fever, so she threw a defensive curveball, deploying 6'4" veteran Dijonai Bonner to guard the rookie phenom. Bonner's length and experience disrupted Clark's usual flow, making every shot a grind and every pass a challenge. "So much of this game is about comfort, rhythm, and timing," White said after the game. "Dijonai gave us a different look at the point, and it made a real difference." From the jump, the Fever seemed out of sync. Despite staying within striking distance for most of the first half, Indiana couldn't keep pace with Connecticut's veteran squad. Clark, battling through a black eye from a physical early play, struggled to find her shooting touch, while the Fever trailed by 3 after the first quarter and 8 by halftime. The Suns' relentless defense and efficient offense took control, pushing the lead further in the second half, resulting in a lopsided 93-69 victory. The Fever's playoff inexperience was on full display, while the Suns' postseason composure shined through. True to her reputation as a poised competitor, Caitlin Clark remained unfazed despite the physical toll of the game and the final score. "We were right there, but we just didn't play our game," Clark reflected, a bruise under her eye standing as a battle scar from the intense contest. The flow was off and nothing seemed to click. Even when her shots weren't falling, Clark went just 4 for 17 from the field. She still found ways to contribute, dishing out 8 assists, grabbing rebounds and hustling on defense. What's more, she tied her season low in turnovers, committing only 2 against one of the league's toughest defenses. Indiana head coach Christy Sides shared Clark's optimism, taking solace in the fact that her team remained competitive for 3 quarters before things slipped away. "These guys are going to shoot the ball a lot better on Wednesday," Sides confidently predicted as she looked ahead to Game 2. This game was a harsh reminder that playoff basketball is an entirely different beast for Clark. It was another chapter in an already historic rookie season, full of grit, growth, and a determination to bounce back. Now, all eyes turn to Game 2, where Indiana will have to find answers and fast to keep their playoff hopes alive. It's important to remember that Indiana's return to the postseason marks a significant achievement for the franchise, which had not made the playoffs since 2016. Caitlin Clark's arrival, paired with the stellar performances of Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and other key contributors like Lexi Hull, transformed a team that once languished near the bottom of the standings into a playoff contender. After an underwhelming 1-8 start to the season, the Fever finished the regular season on a 9-5 post-Olympics run, including an 84-80 victory over the very same Connecticut Sun just weeks before. The Fever's inexperience proved to be a decisive factor in Game 1. The Suns' roster boasted 222 combined playoff games compared to Indiana's 19. This disparity in postseason exposure was evident as Connecticut's veterans, including Alyssa Thomas, Dijonai Bonner, and Brianna Jones, methodically controlled the game's tempo and neutralized Indiana's fast-paced attack. Now, with one playoff game under their belt, Clark and her teammates find themselves on the brink of elimination. A loss in Wednesday's Game 2 would end their inspiring season. Yet, there is a palpable sense of determination within the Fever camp. "We'll go right back at it," Clark said confidently. "We're not out of this yet. We'll learn from this game and we're ready to come back stronger." As the Fever prepare for Game 2, they know the challenges ahead. The Sun, known for their defensive tenacity and playoff experience, it will not make things easy. Still, the Fever have shown time and time again that they can rise to the occasion when it matters most. Now all eyes will be on Caitlin Clark as she looks to bounce back from her playoff debut and lead the Fever to an improbable series comeback. Across the league, eyes are on the Las Vegas Aces, who are attempting to secure a historic three-peat. Despite a somewhat rocky start to the season, the Aces finished strong, propelled by MVP A'ja Wilson, who remains one of the most dominant forces in the game. But questions linger about whether Wilson and the Aces can sustain their level of play through the grueling postseason, especially with formidable challengers like the New York Liberty and Minnesota Lynx standing in their way. The Aces continue their quest for greatness. The WNBA postseason is shaping up to be a showdown of epic proportions. With each game delivering high-stakes drama, fierce competition, and unforgettable moments, this is where legends are made. Buckle up, because the action is only heating up, and the road to the championship promises to leave its mark in the history books. The weeks ahead will define champions and rewrite legacies. Get ready for a postseason like no other.